And welcome back to Hannity. New allegations all across the media tonight. Sexual misconduct. Joining us now with more reaction, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett, trial attorney Rebecca Rose Woodland, and we continue with CRTV host Michelle Malkin. You know, in some cases you've got evidence. In some cases you have apologies and admissions. In some cases you have he said, she said. Look, take the Franken case, that picture, for example. That doesn't mean everything else that people said are true, but it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes about who makes a joke about raping and drugging people.
Sure.
What's funny about that? Nothing.
That photograph is damning, incriminating evidence of a felony by Al Franken. This was on a military plane. That's federal government. Federal law applies. The statute is called abusive sexual contact.
That's a crime? That picture is a crime?
That is a crime under federal law. And the fact that she is asleep is of no consequence because the law specifically says we will presume there is no consent if the victim is asleep. Touching a woman over her clothing is still abusive sexual contact. It's a little tricky because of the statute of limitations, but the government could charge and say the statute of limitations is told or suspended until the discovery of the crime.
I think America tonight, I think they're shocked by the abuse of power aspects of all of this. And I think also people trying to figure out how to, you know, what's true, what's not true. When people apologize and admit their behavior, Rose did that tonight. In the case of Franken, he seemed to admit at least some of it. How do you're an attorney, you deal with some of these cases.
I do. I deal with these cases often, and I think it's very important to note that there's over 300,000 sexual harassment and rape cases a year. 90% of them go unreported the first year, the second year. So all of these, this intense scrutiny about these women coming forward years later.
Are most allegations true?
Well, yes, we do find.
No, I'm asking you. I mean, are all of them true?
Well, no, of course not. No, I mean, there's nothing that's 100% in the human race. There's always people either mischaracterizing or misunderstanding or misrepresenting. Yeah, that does happen. But in these cases, Sean, we have so many women who are coming forward. It is not a partisan issue. And I think that's so important that you've been saying that over and over. It isn't. It's not a Republican-Democrat issue. This is an issue about crimes against women. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you believe one ideology or not. And I think that's where it's becoming very disturbing.
And the media and Clinton apologists continue to excuse the behavior. You played the clip of Paul Begala saying Clinton got away with nothing. Yeah, he got away with alleged rape and alleged sexual assault of Juanita Broderick and Kathleen Willey. And then you played the clip of Jeff Toobin, the CNN legal analyst who said, oh, this had nothing to do with Hillary Clinton. Yes, it did.
Dumbest people on
She
TV.
Insulted, demeaned, and ridiculed and dismissed all of those women. She was complicit.
Michelle.
May I add a couple of facts? Because I am an investigative journalist myself, and I want to address some of the comments that Sebastian Gorka had said at the end of the last segment as well, which is where are the investigative journalists, particularly on this issue? And it's an issue that I've been covering for the last year at CRTV.com, particularly when it comes to false allegations of sexual assault and rape. And to answer the question about how often it happens, it is a lie of the left-wing feminist establishment that only 2% of allegations are false. In fact, the literature shows that it's anywhere between 8 and 41%. So the issue that you're raising, Sean, is very important, which is how do ordinary citizens who cannot trust ideologues and advocates in the media to tell them the truth vet each and every one of these allegations? The one piece of truth that actually did come out of Hillary Clinton's mouth, disingenuous as it was, is that you have to take each and every one of these cases separately. And the sheer number of allegations in any one man's case does not prove that sexual assault or rape happened. You have to think about timing. You have to think about context. You have to think about the fact, in the case of these Washington Post investigations, that you're talking about allegations that are sometimes 20, 30 years old, and you had activist journalists who were soliciting and procuring women to tell these stories. Just because stories all sound the same doesn't mean they're true. Assertions are not truth until they are corroborated as facts and corroborated with evidence. This is what I've shown in all of the reporting that I've shown, from Daniel in the Den, a series that I did, to Railroaded on surviving wrongful convictions. There are many innocent men in this country who have been Absolutely. And you have to talk about when women have incentives to lie because of money.
Well, I mean, yes, that is true. There are people who mischaracterize or lie, straight out lie. But I think in these situations, we have a lot of corroboration. We also have a lot of the men admitting these things have happened. So once you have an admission, we're in a whole different situation.
Very much. All right.
Yes.
Thank you all. Great insight from all of you. When we come back, you're in an explosive report. John Solomon, Sarah Carter, they have just released a new bombshell report about Uranium One. They will break it here. Later, we'll also talk with Newt Gingrich. Busy news night on Hannity.